Hi guys, as you can tell from the title of this video, this is me talking about the promo by Bryan Danielson on NXT with him manhandling Michael Cole. Now, I don't really need to tell you how good that promo was. I hope you understand how good it was, but I'm just gonna give you another perspective of how I came to realize how good this promo was. Now, over the past few weeks and the past few months, I'd been working quite a bit, and so I had no time to watch wrestling, and I came to the realization that to an extent I'd been watching, not to an extent, but I've been watching wrestling for over 10 years, for over half my life, and over the past 10 years I've probably watched more wrestling than the average casual fan would have in the past 20 years with all the DVDs I've watched and how I never miss a show. But I'd realized that to an extent, and this is what I meant to an extent before, with that to an extent, the WWE was over for me. I had nothing left to see from them. And it has nothing to do with the product quality. It's just, I'm so hard to impress now that there's nothing that really does impress me. There's not much that makes me mark out. There are a few things, and there are good matches still, but in terms of angles, in terms of promos, in terms of wrestlers, I've seen better, and I found out what appeals to me and what doesn't, and they don't really have anything that appeals to me. So I was having a hard time figuring out why I'd continue watching when there's not the kind of stuff I need to see to remain interested in their product. And as I said, it's not their fault. I mean, they do what they do for the casual fans, but I'm not a casual fan anymore. I understand how things work. And so when I see the big screen and the ramp and the ring and the thousands of fans and the fireworks, none of that appeals to me anymore. Or neither does the really muscular wrestler with adequate wrestling skills coming out and cutting a promo on his rival and saying his catchphrase and wrestling in a feud, having a Hell in a Cell match. None of that appeals to me anymore. I've seen it. I mean, and I'm not saying that people who have seen that shouldn't be interested. I understand if they still are. I really do. But I have quite a short attention span, and it's not that part of wrestling that appeals to me. I started watching wrestling because I actually developed a taste for actual good quality wrestling, and so when the WWE does that, I enjoy it. And when they, and as most people know, Japanese pro wrestling, that appeals to me. Indie wrestling, that appeals to me. Lucha, to an extent, that appeals to me. Not as great as indie or wrestling in the US. It appeals to me. Deathmatch wrestling, it appeals to me, and it does because it's different. I need to watch different styles at different times. I can't continue watching the same thing, and that's why I've been able to continue watching the WWE and wrestling, is because I keep changing up what I'm watching all the time. I'm watching one thing and going to another, and when I get tired of that, I go to another. But I've always watched the WWE consistently, and so it's just become incredibly bland and tasteless for me. It's like if you had to eat chicken every day. It just has no. It's like a tasteless bit of meat. Having said that, though, when Bryan Danielson came out and cut the promo he did, all of a sudden something inside my head clicked, and I knew that I needed to see whatever Bryan Danielson did from now on. Now, in Ring of Honor, I would never miss anything he did, and in many indies, I'd always be watching him because he is one of my favorites, was one of my favorites on the indies team, along with Nigel McGuinness. Because of their series of matches, I became a massive fan of both of them. And really, when he came to the WWE, I was always concerned they'd water him down or try to make him into one of their generic guys. But he came out and he basically tackled that issue for me. He was himself. He said what the internet was thinking. He did it in a work shoot, and he did it with such conviction that you could believe that it wasn't scripted and that it was 100% real, and he really was attacking Michael Cole. I marked out. I marked out for the first time in a long time, and part of it had to do with, yes, his history in Ring of Honor, and yes, he's one of my favourite wrestlers, but this made me mark out so hard, and I enjoyed it so much that I couldn't I couldn't bear it if people didn't understand it and enjoy it. I mean, I'm sure there will be people who don't understand it and enjoy it, and I'm sure that will be unfathomable for me and very hard for me to deal with. But as I said, this is someone from my generation of internet wrestling saying what I've been thinking and what others have been thinking, no doubt, for a long time, and you know. One of the things that's so amazing about it is it's in the WWE. If TNA did it, it wouldn't mean as much because they're always doing work shoots and they're always, kind of acknowledging us, but nothing ever, is fixed. Now, I'm not saying that the WWE is going to fix all these problems that the internet's been telling them to fix, but they're by letting Danielson go out there and say these things, they're acknowledging it, and they're acknowledging that we want to see him. And it shows that they have enough confidence in him that they'll let him go out there and say that and shove around an announcer. And as I said, it was just so well done. It was a genuine moment in wrestling. And wrestling is just something without any anymore. Last thing I could probably remember would be Shawn crying and leaving, or as I said, the whole retirements and returns of wrestling. Those are the things that only seem to really stimulate emotion anymore. Well, returns, when I say returns, I mean Bret Hart, and I don't think I said it. I think I may have said it in a previous take that was one of the few things that would get me to mark out. That, the retirements and the returns of people we didn't expect to return. But I didn't expect this promo, and it wasn't just that it was unexpected that made it good for me. It was that it was unexpected. It validated, validated what the internet had been complaining about for years, really, because it was acknowledged, and it showed that the WWE had confidence in him, and because it was just so well executed. I felt it was amazing, really, and I'll probably come across as a fucking mark right now, but you know what? I don't care because I really fucking love that promo, and renewed my interest in the WWE. So, yay!